Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, where it's all about creating the life you want, the business you want, and making a real difference. Join us in unlocking the code to true success. And now your host, Tony Caliendo, Master Coach with reTHINK Coaching.
Welcome to the Mindset Architect Podcast, episode number 67. I'm Tony Caliendo, Master Coach here at reTHINK Coaching, and I want to thank you for joining me today. As always, I want to appreciate and acknowledge your time. Time is our most valuable gift, and the fact that you're sharing yours with me truly does mean a great deal. So I want to talk to you about something today that I've noticed come up a bit during holiday season or during goal setting season or during goal reflection season. And I spent some time really thinking about this over the most recent holiday that we celebrate here in the US, Thanksgiving, because I had a lot of time with my family and friends and really understood the importance of having this conversation with you today. And what I want to talk about is this thing called destination addiction. And it's something that a lot of us suffer from. And I say suffer because it is putting yourself in a place of not being able to enjoy or reflect upon what you currently have and putting yourself that everything is so based on the future. So I want to start with number one, a true definition of what is destination addiction. So I went to Google and I just found some descriptions of it. I think this is one of the best that I found. So I want you to listen to this and see if this maybe applies to you. It's a psychological phenomenon where individuals continually seek fulfillment and happiness in future destinations or events rather than appreciating the present moment. People experiencing this belief and mindset often feel that their happiness is contingent upon reaching a specific place, achieving a specific goal, experiencing an life event, leading to a perpetual cycle of dissatisfaction. And I want to talk a little bit about how it might be manifesting in you. So I shared just a minute ago that I had the privilege of spending some time with my family over Thanksgiving. And I think as I've become older, I've lost both of my parents. My siblings have become really important in my life. Their spouses, their kids, my nieces, nephews, soon to be great niece. And what I discovered was I used to have expectations of what the holiday season would bring. I put all of my belief and faith that I was going to be happy during that time period. And there were a lot of holiday seasons that when it was over, I was profoundly disappointed. And what I'm realizing at this stage of my career and of my life is that the holidays only enhance my level of enjoyment. They don't make or break it. And I got to experience that for the last 7 days in Omaha, Nebraska with my incredible family who welcomes Reagan and I into their home. And we just get to be part of something bigger. Yet it's changed from I'll be happy when, I'll enjoy it when, the year will feel complete when, I will feel satisfied when, all of that's gone. It truly was just an enhancement. So you might be manifesting destination addiction when you rely on things like the following to help you manifest or feel like you're achieving something. Travel. That's a big one for people. I hear a lot of people say, I'm going to go escape my life and go travel. And I find that to be fascinating. There are some people that truly have a true destination addiction in terms of where they're physically going to be, believing that the trip they're going to take is going to unlock that box of happiness and joy for them. And that until they do it, they're not happy and they're not going to be happy in their current space. Goals are another place that you might be feeling this destination addiction. You might fixate on your future goals and accomplishments and think that once they're achieved, you're going to feel better. You're going to feel great. It could be a promotion. It could be getting into a relationship, getting out of a relationship, making a big purchase like a house or a secondary home or a car or whatever it is that you want to purchase, that we put some belief on that once I do it in the future, I'll be happier then than I am now, or I'll finally feel at peace. Comparison happens a bit when you're in this phase because we want to compare ourselves to and our current life to this ideal future that hasn't happened yet, that we're holding on to. All of our hope is in this future that we're going to feel really good about who we are. And the reality is that sets yourself up for a bit of disappointment, because your current life versus this idealized future can result in you feeling inadequate or some discontent. So there's lots of ways that we can address this, but I just want to bring your attention to it right now. I want you to really ask yourself if you believe that things will be better once you do something, whether it's a goal, a purchase, a marriage, a divorce, a whatever it is that you're looking for to finally be able to feel this sense of joy, this destination that we want to get to. And that we're holding so dearly right now that my current circumstances are what's causing me to be unhappy. And once my circumstances change, everything else is going to change. This is what I find to be really interesting. And a lot of the work that I've done with one of my coaches around this very thing is making your first million isn't going to make everything okay. Yes, it changes things. Yes, you have less financial worry. If it's making your first 100,000, your first 200, 500, whatever it is, your first 10 million, whatever that is, I can tell you that you show up as you, just with some more money in the bank. Now, that's not a horrible thing. It's a great thing. Let me share with you, that's a great feeling, but it doesn't change who you are. You get a whole different set of circumstances, right? And you do believe that that one circumstance, wealth, is what is going to be the game changer, the kingpin for you to experiencing true happiness. So you've got this destination addiction towards a financial state. And I love what one of the coaches that I study says. She says that life is 50-50. Doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, doesn't matter if you don't have enough resources right now, it doesn't matter. Life is 50-50. 50% is really good, 50% is not so great. And it doesn't matter what your destination is, it's still going to be 50-50. And I think that is where people get disappointed when they finally reach that pinnacle or they finally reach that goal, only to find out that life is still 50-50. And just because they got to the destination, whether it's physical, whether it's financial, whether it's relationship, whether it's geographical, whether it's whatever it is, that life is still going to throw them 50-50. And that, I think, is what creates the biggest disappointment around destination addiction. Now, what scares me or bothers me the most about it is if you do suffer from this, you are really putting yourself in your own personal prison. Because when you are so focused on what it is that's going to change everything for you, you're not enjoying your current place of being. You're just not, because it's never good enough. You know, that comparison game happens. Well, I'm doing okay financially, but I wanted to be at 7 figures. I'm doing okay in my marriage, but I wanted it to be skyrockets every day, and it's not. I finally met somebody and my life is still 50-50. It's not like this dream fairy tale that I thought it would be just because I'm in a relationship with someone. So when you hold on to that, you are really robbing yourself of current joy and your current state of being. And I think that is one of the saddest things that can happen, because I will tell you this, my mom always said this, time flies by the older you get. And I promise you she's right. And as we start to age and time goes by quicker, you start to realize that if you're holding into the space of things will only be better when, you are missing out on so much. You truly are. And I want you to think about it in terms of, what am I giving up right now? That if this was my current destination, how would I feel? And I think that's a great question. It's one that I ask myself often. I mean, I have long-term goals, I have short-term goals, I've got financial, relationship, business, team goals. I've got all those typical goals. But I like to ask myself that, what about my current destination is fulfilling? What creates joy? Because here's what I know. My current destination was once my future destination years ago. It just was. I've evolved to what I thought was going to be my destination, that everything was going to be sunshine and rainbows. And guess what? It's still 50-50. So spending some time just getting real and getting right with acknowledging where you are, asking yourself if this is the destination that you set for yourself, even if it was a year ago. What is it? What about it is joyful? And what about it is not joyful? 50-50. And the things that are not joyful, could I change them? And I think that is where the biggest lesson is for all of us, is getting out of this space of postponing happiness, postponing joy. And I'm a big believer in joy over happiness, postponing joy because you haven't reached some pinnacle of some area or areas in your life. And you're going to blink and you're going to realize that there were some pretty amazing moments that you didn't allow yourself to enjoy simply because you were focused on your joy is more in the future than it is right now. So what can you do to address this? Because here's what I know to be true. If you're really honest with yourself, truly honest with yourself, at some point in some area of your space in your life, you're experiencing destination addiction. You just are. And I want you to sit with that for a minute and think about where it is. Is it about money? Is it about relationship? Is it about your business? Is it about your life? Is it about your health? What is it about? And hit the pause button for a moment and reflect on all of the great things, the 50% great things that you're experiencing right now in that area. I mean, if it's about health, you may not be the weight you want or the body mass composition, or you may not be running a marathon today, yet at a bare minimum, we can be joyful that we're alive. Our heart is beating, our lungs are working, our brain is functioning, our blood is pumping, we're able to walk, we're able to move. There is some joy in the current space around, for example, your health. Same thing around your business. I am earning income. Yes, I have a bigger goal, yet right now the money that I am earning is allowing me to do what? Keep the lights on, food in the fridge, heat and air going, a car. What is it doing for you right now that would allow you to experience some joy? This is part of how we practice being mindful, is to pause for a minute and reflect on the area or areas and ask what right now is working and working really well. And it may not feel that way until you let go of the comparison game. Yeah, but stop that talk and pay attention to the now. And then dig into the what's not working. What's the 50 ick? Because it's there. What's the 50 not so great part? Is it something that I can put a plan in place to change as I move forward? Because the ick is always going to be there, yet you get to choose what ick in the 50% is still present. And so instead of dragging around the same old crap day after day, month after month, year after year, you get to work through that 50% that's not so great. Now, another 50% is going to show up. I promise you, that's just how life is. So engage in mindfulness. We've talked about this a gabillion times. It can be through meditation, prayer, quiet time, a walk in nature. Do something to practice being mindful and present to what you have around you and to what is amazing around you. Make sure your goals are realistic. Yes, I've talked about stretch goals. Yes, I've talked about a 3-year vision. Yes, I've talked about a 1-year goal. Yes, I've talked about they need to be uncomfortable for growth, yet be realistic that it could happen. And part of building a business plan or a life plan is to test the reality of that bigger vision. When you actually have to break it down, like I've taught you in the business plan sections, if you break it down and you realize that there is a path forward and a path forward for you, even though the goal feels really uncomfortable, that's realistic. When you break it down and you're like, oh, there's no way I could have 3,000 conversations every month because of time constraints, you start to readjust the goals or find some ways to leverage it off. So be realistic in setting the goal. Make sure that they are achievable. Break the big goals into smaller goals. We've talked about this, manageable steps. And I'm going to say this with a lot of love and compassion. Get out of the have. There's a great universal law, be, do, have. Get out of the have and figure out who do I need to be and what do I need to do to have what I really want. That's a big part of setting those realistic goals. Gratitude journaling. One of my favorite things to do every day in my journaling practice is to look around the room, look around the space that I'm in, look around the life that I have, and pick 5 things that I'm grateful for. 5 things. And it doesn't have to be anything significant. Sometimes I'm just grateful for the art that I have developed of journaling, the gifts that it's given me in my life. Spending some time in a space of gratitude changes everything. And it pulls you into being more joyful about your current versus future destination addiction. Limit your comparisons. I always say this, I love comparison for the sake of acknowledging that something's possible. I love comparison. I love to compare reTHINK coaching to other coaching companies that are doing bigger business than I am. And it's not to beat myself up of like, oh my gosh, I'm only earning X amount and they're earning this amount. It is to say, if they did it, it's possible. If they did it, I can do it. If they did it, I have a path that direction as well. Because once somebody has done it, it helps create the space in your brain. So limit comparison for the sake of beating yourself up. Embrace comparison for the openness that it creates about what is possible. This is going to sound really simple, but this is step number 5 that I'm going to invite you to do. Engage in enjoyable activities. I've seen this happen so much that we punish ourselves for not being to our destination yet. We punish ourselves. I'm not going to go have fun. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to immerse myself 24/7 in my job until I get it right, until I'm making $1 million, until I'm doing this. And we deny ourselves of current enjoyment. And I think that is a big shame. I think there's a place for it, right? Until you get to the level that you want to be in your business or your life or your health or your relationship, you do have a responsibility for blocking the appropriate amount of time to achieve it. Yet you also need to block some time to enjoy. You know, the hormones that get released when we experience some happiness, like when we have a joyful moment, just change everything. They light your neurology up. It changes everything. So engage in some enjoyable activities. This was an eye opener for me years ago. I was working with a coach, and this was when I was leaving my safe, secure coaching role with a big company and moving into my own. And my coach asked me at the time, what are your favorite hobbies? And I didn't have any. I couldn't answer the question. And I remember her asking me several different ways to see if she could extract what my hobbies were. And what had happened was I had shut them all down because I was so consumed with my future. I was so consumed with the destination I was going to get to. I wanted to replace the income that I had when I was with that company. I wanted to break through my first 7 figures. I wanted this, I wanted that. And I was so consumed with that, I lost track of the simple things that bring me excitement. And I have re-engaged in golfing. I've re-engaged in entertaining. I've re-engaged in going out and being social. I've just re-engaged in life in a different way because I realized I was putting some of my hobbies aside. You know, I love to entertain. One of my hobbies is to cook for people. And so taking a cooking class or learning how to cook Indian food or learning how to do something else, it really is important that you engage in enjoyable activities because this is what I know to be true. The second I did that and I allowed myself to experience joy, my production went through the roof because it simply released a bunch of feel-good hormones that allowed me to think differently, clearer, get re-engaged at a high level. Some of the most creative things that came out of re-engaging with hobbies were amazing ideas. I go for a hike nearly every day. And I mean, it's not climbing a huge mountain, but here in Santa Fe, we got some hills and we're at elevation. And it's during those quiet times doing that hobby that I love to do because I'm outdoors, I'm in the sunshine, I'm breathing fresh air, I'm in nature. I get some of my most creative ideas. I think if somebody followed me around, they might wonder who I am and what I'm doing because I'm always talking into my phone, leaving myself notes and making sure that I capture those great thoughts when I'm on my walk. So engage in enjoyable activities. Number 6, reevaluate your values and your priorities. We've talked about this. What's the value that you bring to others? And what's the value that you expect others to bring to you? What is your true value? What matters to you? Reassess if your pursuits are really in alignment with your values and your priorities. align you to focus more on meaningful goals. So for me, for a long time, I was just focused on this destination of making seven figures. And I focused on what it would do for me. You know what? Like me. And when I stopped and did this very thing, what are my values and priorities? I realized that a big part of my desire to accumulate wealth is to be able to make a difference in the world for others. And so donating to different charities, giving to a friend in need, creating a experience for someone that I love that, hey, let's go to New York together. Plane tickets waiting for you. You just got to show up, pack. I got everything else taken care of. It was really evaluating the priorities and the values for me that changed that destination of making seven figures. And once again, I did that, it became easier to get there. So really reevaluate those values and priorities. Number 7, practice self-compassion. As entrepreneurs, as real estate leaders, as human beings, we sometimes are really hard on ourselves with the areas that we're not succeeding into the level that we desire to, that we're failing. And we can have some really vicious conversations with ourselves. So practice self-compassion. I've talked about this a gabillion times, and I'm going to talk about it a gabillion and one. I love failing. I really do. Because I attempted to do something. B, I got feedback of what worked, what didn't work. C, I can pivot according to the feedback that I have, and I can test it again. If you treat failure as final, that's the only time failure is really not good for you. But I embrace it. So embrace some self-compassion, show yourself some grace under pressure, show yourself some grace when you're not hitting that goal or you're not moving as quickly towards that destination that you desire to be at. And then number 8, hire a coach. I mean, I will tell you this, team, being a coach, I have had a coach myself since 2003. So that's a while. That's 21 years. Not the same coach. I've had a coach. I've had the same coach for about 9 years now, but I've brought in other coaches, health coach, nutrition coach, training coach, mindset coach. I brought in different coaches to enhance. Having a coach that can help you with all of this is probably one of the best gifts you could give yourself. And I say that because remember, we are humans that like routine. Even though we're trying to do all this different stuff, we're looking at a destination, we've got destination addiction going on, we got all this stuff going on. We tend to default to what we've always done. So over 90% of what we do is just conditioned habitual behavior. Without a coach, that destination gap can grow really, really big, and a lot of frustration can happen on your way to that destination that you so desperately want to be at, that you self-sabotage yourself on the way. So hire a coach. So think about yourselves right now. Am I postponing my greatest joys because I have a false sense of destination addiction? Whether it's in a physical destination, whether it's where you live, where you're going to travel to, whether it's the goals that you set for yourself that you're not going to allow yourself to experience greatness until you achieve that goal, and nothing else matters until you get there. Comparison is the greatest thief of joy, that you're comparing yourself and making yourself feel inadequate. So the 8 steps that you can take to work yourself out of destination addiction is practicing mindfulness, setting a realistic goal, really spending time with that. Gratitude journaling. Gratitude changes the neurology of your brain. You cannot be in a place of gratitude and a negative headspace at the same time. Not possible. Limit comparisons for the sake of beating yourself up, and use comparison for what's possible. Engage in enjoyable activities, those hobbies, the things you like to do. Engage in them. Make sure they're on your calendar. Reevaluate your values and your priorities. Make sure they're in alignment. And destination addiction can rob you of your true value and priority, because you get so consumed on something that you stray away from what really is congruent with the inside of you, those values and the priorities that you want. Practice some self-compassion. This is where you get to show yourself some grace, embrace the failure, congratulate yourself because you tried, extract the feedback, and figure out your way forward. And lastly, although it should be first, is hire a coach. Team, we're always here to help you out. If you are struggling with destination addiction, which so many people do, please reach out. Happy to help you out. If you go to rethinkcoaching.com, there is a pop-up that you can put your name and contact information in for a free 1-hour strategy call. I'm not going to sell you anything. I just want to help you. So it's a free call. You register, you come to me. We set up a time for us to meet. You can send me an email, tony@rethinkcoaching.com. You can find me on all of the social media platforms pretty easily. I'm really, really easy to find. If you go to the Googles, you'll find me pretty quickly. You'll probably even find my cell phone, which if you are so inclined, text or call if you need help. Looking forward to hearing about this. I really do want you to pay attention. Destination addiction is in its own way incredibly unhealthy. And again, I got to reflect on what it's like not to be in that space this holiday season. And we're only one holiday in. So I can't wait to see what, for me, next holiday is Christmas and then we have New Year's, what that brings to enhance, not define what my future is going to be. So enjoy yourselves, make it an awesome week, and we'll talk to you soon. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast, you must come check out the Mindset Architect Group Coaching Program. It's our monthly program where we explore the power of your mindset, help you identify what you truly want in business and life, and then help you reach those goals. Come check us out at rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. That's rethinkcoaching.com/group-program. We'll see you there.